Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. With the relaunch of my GT Rewind series last week, I thought I'd bring back another older series from the channel, my personal top 10 liveries of the week. If you want a better chance at your livery being featured in one of these videos each and every week, be sure to use the hashtag above to make it much easier for me to have a look and have a find. Now in terms of this series, I just want to make a quick note that these top 10 aren't in any specific order, these are just 10 great liveries that I've built up over time to start the series again with. First one is going to be by Ghost Driver or Godfather 19617444, who has this awesome custom touring car livery for the Alfa Romeo Mito. This livery for my Alfa Romeo Mito has basically been my go-to for the longest time. I feel like it completely overhauls the car itself and turns what is a relatively boring and basic car in the game into a cool little TCR car. I absolutely love the finer details in this one with all the Italian branding, the Alfa Romeo branding as well, and it really does pop off as a proper touring car livery. I absolutely adore this thing. As you can see on track, it looks even better. With the correct aero mods, you can make a really aggressive looking Mito. I absolutely love this one, coupled with the bigger wing and the wider body, as well as those wheels absolutely filling the arches out. This for me is my go-to for the Mito, and I think it probably always will be. So with that being done, let's move on to the second livery of the week. Number 2 of the week goes to this road-going version of the Celica GT4 ST205 from 1994 by Mess Outsiders or Mess 357. This one on the Celica I feel like looks absolutely stunning. It feels like a modern take on a retro 90s livery. He actually has a ton of these things for a bunch of different models, so there's certainly going to be something to tickle your taste buds when it comes to looking through his liveries. But for me, the one on the Celica looks absolutely incredible. It keeps it very much towards the base model without going too over the top, and gives it this very stylized modern take on what feels like a very 90s style. Again, this time this one's remained on my Celica for the longest time. I absolutely adore the style on this one. I feel like it's very stylized but not too in your face. It's very subtle but certainly changes up the entire look and feel of this vehicle. So let's move on to number 3. From race based to street based, this is a Playboy take on a Honda Civic Type R EK from 98 by E. Almark or Temp 4890883, who has the inspiration from a Instagram Honda Civic, and I believe this is one I've actually seen around on Instagram myself. I absolutely love the look and style of this on the wide body. It keeps it very street based, very JDM based. I absolutely love it, and for me the main standout is actually the colours. Whilst they're not really in your face, they really actually do suit this Civic EK body. When it comes to over 20 of the Honda Civic Type Rs I have in GT7, this for me is definitely more of a show than a go livery. It's certainly one that I like to show off in the likes of maybe a thumbnail, or if I was doing sort of custom car lobbies where people like to, you know, go in and do car meets and such. This would definitely be one that I'd certainly take in there. I feel like it is definitely more for eye candy and more for the street than it is for full-blown racing, but nonetheless it is certainly a very cool and very unique livery. From JDM to American Muscle, this is the Eclipse Tizen Viper number 55 from 2003, based on the Viper SRT 10 Coupe from 2006 by Fuzz. This one I absolutely love. It's a replica of obviously an Autobax JGTC vehicle from 2003, plastered on a 2006 model Dodge Viper SRT 10. Again, taking inspiration from real world race cars and putting it on these road cars that we have with a ton of customization options absolutely changes up these vehicles. I feel like this one absolutely suits the Viper down to the ground. For me, when it comes to replica liveries put on a road car, it can be very hit and miss, and I certainly feel like this one absolutely hits that bullseye. The way it kind of goes over where the vents are at the front and the front doors are, and it's almost seamless, looks absolutely superb, and the finer details in this very aggressive looking livery just absolutely stands out on the SRT 10. For me, it totally transforms the look of this one, and this livery also did feature in my review. For number 5, we're back to Italian cars. This time we have Debro, who drops this beautiful Zonda LM livery from GT3 on the Zonda R 2009. You may recently remember this livery from featuring in my money build that was based off a community sent build. I absolutely love this livery. For me, the Zonda in GT3 is one of the standout cars in that game, and to see it pop off in GT7 all these years later is absolutely amazing. I really do like especially the finer details when it comes to the likes of the Gran Turismo logo over those rear arches, that huge rear wing, and definitely in terms of the kind of accents that we've got in this sort of grey silver colour, making this one pop even more. It certainly is a very good replica livery, and whilst the model isn't exactly the same, I feel like they've made absolutely great work of fitting that classic Gran Turismo 3 livery on a much more modern and much different kind of Zonda that we see these days. I'm a sucker for Gran Turismo nostalgia, and I feel like this one absolutely ticks all of the right boxes when it comes to recreating those classic liveries. So let's move in to number 6. This is the Castrol Edge Lancer Group 3. As you can see, this one's made by Gacha911, who does this beautiful and stunning gold and black liveried Castrol sponsored Mitsubishi. I absolutely love the coverage on the rear window as well, so that we just see the sides and the front, and the way the proportions are on this car, it fits absolutely perfectly. Again, this is one that's been stuck on this car for the longest time, probably around about a year and a half at this point, and I've just got no reason to take it off. For me, it absolutely looks beautiful on this car, and I certainly feel like this is one that will probably never ever be removed. Not only is it the type of car that I'd use for a thumbnail, it also looks absolutely amazing when it comes to being on track and in the replays. Although you've got the very dark black on this car, the gold absolutely shines through in the sunlight, as well as at night it looks insanely aggressive and mean looking, very much transforming the standard Group 3 livery for the Lancer Evo 10. I really do like this one, and again, for me, this is definitely one of my favourites, probably of all time when it comes to GT7. I fully recommend, if you do end up putting this livery on yourself, certainly go and take it out at night and just look at it under the lights. So let's move on next to something a bit different. This is a current day replica of the D-Station Racing Aston Martin Vantage GT3 from 2024. This one for me is absolutely stunning. Dark green as well as the green accents on a Aston Martin look absolutely superb, and just the way the livery changes this up to look like a much more modern and much more stylized replica looks absolutely incredible. As you can see, it does have the auto backs sponsors on this one. However, this car also runs in WEC as well, so for me this is absolutely superb. I really do like this one, and I feel like although it's quite subtle and maybe not covered in sponsors like a lot of race cars, it is still very much popping off in your face just with the absolute beauty of this thing. For me, it massively changes up the absolute style of what is a very old GT3 car currently in GT7. Actually, every time I jump in this car, it's almost like driving a completely new car to the game, and I really do respect liveries that can completely transform a race car which is very much set in its way and doesn't even kind of feature the likes of customization. So let's move on next to a very nostalgic livery for me. This is by Seal A or Seal Azor, who does this R4 RTS Final GP Ford GT livery, one that featured on my channel around about a year ago. I absolutely love this thing. The very silver and metallic mixed with the blue, as well as the blue lighting on the back of this car at night, and set, couple that with the flames and the fire spitting, it's just absolutely one of my all-time favorite GT7 liveries. And on top of that, it pulls on my nostalgia strings from a childhood that I very fondly remember when it comes to PlayStation 1 racing games, mainly being Gran Turismo 1 and obviously what you've seen here, Ridge Racer Type 4, perhaps one of my favorite racing games of all time, if not my all-time favorite arcade racing game, with perhaps the best livery to come out of that game. Now for me, this one absolutely fits the Ford GT. Like I mentioned, you've got the very plain and basic silver, which shines very nicely under all kinds of lighting. Mix that with the blue kind of stickers and stripes that we have on it, the very bold and in your face O2, and then the beautiful lights that that sit on the back of this car at night, it looks absolutely incredible, whether you're racing at day. However, if you want to turn it up a notch, certainly recommend taking this one around at night. Time for some rotary love with this livery by Izumu183 on the Mazda Speed RX Vision GT3. This one for me is absolutely incredible, and again really pops in your face, quite like the look of the Lancer Evo, where it kind of completely transforms the vehicle. I feel like this completely pops off everything about this RX-7, mainly the insane downforce and aero on this vehicle. The yellow lines all over the bottom of this car really give this car an aggressive look. Mix that with a very Mazda-y kind of stylized red, the white and the Japanese sponsors. This thing looks like it could be a full-blown real race car in something like the current day Super GT, GT300 class. I absolutely love this one. Again, this is one that has just been stuck on a car for the longest time, and I honestly don't think I'll ever replace it. In fact, this model started life as the base model of the stealth version, and then kind of got took up a notch when I decided, you know what, the black's a little bit boring, let's go and get something that is completely in your face. And this Mazda Speed livery absolutely achieves that goal. Again, feeling like a real world livery. And my favourite one of the week is definitely this one, the Automugen NSX23 by FFX7 BST2. Like I mentioned, when it comes to real world replica liveries, just like the Aston Martin, if you can change up the entire look of a base model car in GT7 just by making a livery, then you're absolutely achieving your goal. This Auto NSX obviously ran during the 2023 season in a completely different style to the NSX that we currently have in Group 2 in game. It definitely updates the entire vehicle just by the livery itself, and I think this is a very spot on replica. When it comes to the bright red and the big Auto logo on the front, this is a car whenever I'm watching Super GT that full blown catches my eye every single time it comes through. I really do enjoy the Auto colours, and whilst okay, a lot of the time you'll see a lot of Auto orange and such, this red, very bright red, absolutely pops off every time you see it on track. I fully recommend popping this one on if you are like me and you really do enjoy those replica liveries. And that's going to round it up for my 10 favourite liveries of this week. Whilst I am relaunching this series, I had to go back and obviously use some of the liveries that I've been using for a long time. Some of those liveries that have been stuck on my car for way over a year and a half at this point. Again, if you do want to get involved, use the hashtag that I've shown you at the start, and I will be taking a look over the next week, compiling 10 more ready for next week. Thanks so much for watching, and a big thank you to all of my channel members listed down below, and I will see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day wherever you are. Peace.